Welcome back to the channel, Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today I'm working on the Sisters of Battle army that I have been doing for a client here. And today we're going to be doing some detail work on our Exorcist. And I think with the white armor, people like particularly have like difficult time getting like a good finish and everything. So I wanted to go ahead and just kind of show how I had done this. I recently picked up the contrast paints line and actually gave that a try here. So I was using the Apothecary white contrast paint there, and it took on the tank. I had to do a few coats just to like specifically get it darker towards the bottom of like the panels, so it wasn't splotchy and I could get like the exact effect. But like the first one, I kind of just put on there and then manipulate around where I wanted it. And then the second one, I was a little more specific and I left off like some of the higher areas and laid it on a little heavier, like lower down on the panels. And then the third coat, I basically just like filled it out. And then I went through with some actual white scar and did like the highlights on like the edge highlights. And that's like the white right here. And then on the actual sisters, it was like the same thing, but it took a lot less work. Most of them I did in like one or two coats. So, and then I just went through and did like the blue is using again another one of the contrast paints. This one is the Tallassar blue right here, and that gives like a real nice cloth and very bright look to it. And if you lay that on nice and then you kind of like pay attention to it before it dries, you can get a good effect with one or two coats of that as well. And then I went through and I'm doing like two different color gold highlights on here as well. And then I'm going to go through and do silver. And then that'll pick out most of the detail. I already did like the kind of ivory look on like the wings and like the little statues and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep going through and picking out some of these details and keep working this out. So we're just using the Retributor armor first, and we're essentially just going to go through and pick out, there's like two different golds that I'm using. So I'm just picking out like the ones that are the certain gold, which is going to be like this little front deal right here. I'm not using like a crazy small detail brush or anything. And I went ahead and watered this down to like a nice texture so it spreads easy, but not so watery that it's like running all over, messing up my detail. You'll notice I kind of like turn the tank too so that it's angled like to me rather than trying to like move myself to the tank. And that's one nice thing about like larger stuff like that, because like with a smaller model, if it's mounted to a base, you can't always do that. So you'll notice I usually mount my guys to like a little base that's just temporary, like while I'm painting them, and then at some point in time I'll transfer them over to like their actual base. One, so I'm not getting stuff all over their bases, that I paint up nice and everything as I'm painting them, or vice versa. But two, because of what I just said, allows you like access to like the underside in a way that once they are mounted to the base, nobody's ever going to see something if you couldn't see it when they weren't mounted to the base. So just picking out some of the details there. Yeah, when we're trying to do like a small little detail like this, you want to turn your brush like sideways, almost at a 90-degree angle, and then allow like the actual three-dimension surface of it to just grab like the edge of the brush. So if you're going like this, you have to make sure you're lined up perfectly with it to go like straight on. But if you're going like this, you're basically just running your brush sideways along like the detail edge. So it's doing all the work for you. And you'll make less errors like that. And you'll get more comfortable doing it that way. You can go faster too. I mean, you're always gonna make some errors. It's just about like finding the perfect balance between like how fast you can go and like how clean you can keep everything looking. Because at some point in time, like if you're gonna sacrifice like quality for speed or speed for quality, vice versa. You just have to find like the perfect medium based on like what you're looking for, for your final result. Like, are you trying to win a golden demon, or are you trying to play at the local club and escalation league and you have to have everything painted up? And you should have realistic goals too. Like, if you're new to the hobby, like you're not just gonna start painting like amazing. You need to start with like, okay, I'm gonna like, make my characters look real good, and I'm gonna practice like different techniques on, like my squads or whatever, or work on like getting an army together, but then have like one kill team that's like really well painted. We're just going through and picking out those little teeny details like that in gold so they stand out. Because the gold and the blue are gonna like catch your eye the most when you have like a bunch of like white like this. So that's why we wanted like the two different colors of gold, so we can kind of bring your eye to certain details. But then like other ones are still gonna look good and kind of catch your eye. Like the pipes right here are gonna kind of catch your eye, but not the same way as like the organs and all that does. All right, and I think that was. Oh, there's a few more of those we're gonna go through and do on there as well. All right, sweet. So we got most of that gold picked out now and a bunch of those details. So I'm just gonna switch over to my lead belcher, and I went ahead and like always just watered it down a little bit. And we're just gonna go through. We want to pick out like these details right here, maybe like the tracks, some of the gun detail, like this little um, front little deal. So we just want to get down in there, get a nice coating. Make sure we have our paint like a nice, like kind of watered down consistency, so it spreads nicely over everything. And then if we got to do like a couple coats, we can. There we go. Just kind of get all through this little like great work and everything. When you got something like this, it works best if you just go with it, like both ways. Try to get down in the cracks and everything. Like I said, just make sure you get a nice coat on there. If you got to make a couple passes, you can. Just gonna get that nice, and then we'll go through and do the same thing for the tracks. And then like I said, there's a bunch of other details like this little guy right here, and little smoke launchers right here, we'll get them as well. Just gonna kind of pick out some of that stuff. I want to do like the little pieces in between, like the statues right here too. And like this little top, that little top deal right there. And anything else that you decide you want to pick out, just to make it look good. All right, and here we got quite a bit done on it. Went through and just picked out like all the little details, all over, and anywhere we had like made a mistake or anything, like on the little torches, we got like a little bit of gold on it. we just went back through and like repainted that in white, so we could come back and do like the fire on top. And then we did like just a little bit of like that guilliman's flesh over top like the little statue areas where we wanted to be like the ivory, and did like all our tracks and the metal around it and everything. Added in like a little bit more of like gold highlights and everything. And this just kind of gives you like the look basically. There's still a couple details that need picked out, but just like the look of like the white armor and you know, what you could potentially get with the contrast paints. Overall, I'm very happy with it. I think it came out great, even though there's like obviously still work to be done. But just this is an amazing way to get white armor and then combining it with the metallics, like as opposed to just like doing the non-metallic metal effects. Like, I mean, it just looks amazing. And like some of the brighter colors on the contrast like are just phenomenal. Like you're not going to get that kind of pigment out of like most companies, even like Games Workshop's older stuff. So I'm very happy overall with the contrast paints, and this kit is awesome and has like a ton of detail. I'm going to finish it up and do like some washes and kind of bring it all together, finish up like some of the details, and then we'll have like a completion video. But overall, the Exorcist is an awesome kit, and don't be afraid to do that white armor, because you can make it like this with just a couple nice clean coats and you know, controlled movements with just a little bit of skill and a few key paints. You know, you can have this bad boy on the table in no time. So Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm out of here.